A couple of weeks ago, Samsung launched their latest portable SSD in the T7 Touch, as seen here. Now, Samsung's had a long history of providing great portable SSDs, the T5 before it, and also the X5, which is a high-performance Thunderbolt 3 drive. Now, the T series is really more about mainstream computing, solving all of those portable data needs in a compact, stylish form factor that doesn't have any moving parts or things that can get damaged like a hard drive. Now, the T7 Touch is available in 500 gig, terabyte, and 2 terabyte capacities, in addition to the black color ID you see here and silver. Now, interestingly enough, when you think about what they've put in there for the touchability, the fact that it's still so thin is pretty amazing. At just 8 millimeters thickness, it's even smaller than the T5. The other thing that they've done as part of the touch sensor is when we plug it in, you can see that there's a nice design ID light up there that shows blue when it's got power connected, and the square will dance a little bit as the lights run in a chase when data transfer is occurring. So overall, from a design standpoint, the T7's another winner from Samsung. They've just been doing a great job with this line of portable SSDs. And what we'll do next is plug it into the computer and take a look at the software that comes with the T7 to manage the security aspects and drive maintenance.
So now we're taking a look at the portable SSD application that Samsung includes with the T7 Touch. This is the Mac version, but the Windows looks about the same from what we can tell. Over here on the left, you'll see our drive, the storage of use SAM T7. We renamed it, of course. If you had multiple drives, they would presumably show up here in the left column. Now, to be fair, the app is a bit Spartan, but it does what it's supposed to do, and that's give you control over the security settings of the drive. It does give us a highlight here of how much of the terabyte drive we've used, and let's just dive straight in. So in the settings, you can go ahead and manage things like top-level security mode. You could turn that off, although if you do that, then you're just using a regular SSD and you're missing out on the benefits of the T7 Touch. So we'll leave that enabled. We can go down and change the name to anything you want, although there is a character limit. This is about the edge of it right there with the name we've given it. You can also change and manage the password here. Now, this is an important warning that if you forget your password, you're going to have to blow up the drive, and that means the data on the drive will also be gone. So be sure that you register with a password that you'll remember, and hopefully more than one fingerprint in the event something happens. Speaking of fingerprints, we can go ahead and go down to these settings. We can enable Fingerprint Unlock, which is on, which is great. And then we can manage the registration of the fingerprints. So everything about the app is requiring passwords for security, which is fine. You can see that we've got 3 fingerprints registered. Just drop another one in here just to give you a flair for how this works. So just like most other fingerprint sensors on your phone or on other security devices, it's a multiple press thing. Try to keep your finger in the center, move it around the edges, and it'll slowly register your fingerprint after, what are we at, about 9 or 10 touches. So that's pretty cool, very fast. Another fingerprint's registered, and now we've got 4 in the system. The nice thing about this is if you share the drive with someone else that you trust and you want their fingerprint to be identifiable, you can have multiple people here. Now, we can't manage a profile, and so it can be a little tricky to know whose are whose unless you go back in and we rename that one Alex, and the last one I just did was Brian Left Thumb. So the level of detail you want to put in here is up to you, but you can rename them as you go. Now we can go back in here, and we've covered off on all the core settings. One last thing to take a look at is the update tool. The drive's brand new, so there's nothing new for us to get in terms of firmware, but it will check for firmware automatically if you enable that, or you can manually check if you're someone that likes to make sure your drive is always up to date. Again, I wouldn't expect a whole lot of updates here. Samsung normally does a pretty good job out of the gate in terms of drive management, but if for security or performance or other reasons they have to push out a firmware drive at a later date, that'll be done here. So that's what we've got going on with the application. And we already took a look at the hardware, and make sure to check out the full review for all the performance details.